They're not off the ice, but yes, he's playing tonight. We're excited to get him back. He's excited to be back. That's a long rehab injury, and there's a lot of really difficult days in that when you're a long way from getting back onto the ice and you know it's a hard rehab. So this is the payoff. He's done good work to get back in our lineup, and he gets to go have some fun tonight.
As far as the other injured players, Barkov?
Yeah, Barkov and Bennett didn't improve over the last 3 days, so I'll list them as day-to-day. Possibly Tampa. So we're fortunate that we got some days off in here. We can expect some healing and we just don't want either of these to get to the point that it does take them out of the game for a block of time. We can't afford that to happen, so they're not that far off.
Is it something new with either of them, or is it lingering?
No, just, continuation.
And then Eric's still out there. Is he good to go?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's ready. He's fresh.
And then looking at the game, obviously, another big 4-point swing, kind of like the Caps game.
All the big games. We're going to have everyone's big, and then the teams that you're competing with have a whole different level, which will make for really, I think, for two teams that are based on speed and some kind of transition game, I think this gets physical very fast, and it'll be a heavy game tonight.
Any emphasis on the first periods, given the fact they played a long one the other day?
Yeah, they did, but when you go through their minutes, Thompson's at 17, so they didn't run anybody into the 20s up front. They ran that fourth line a lot, almost equal to their first line. So they're going to come out with good legs tonight. Comrie played and played well, so they'll be good tonight.
In this spot, you'd rather play the team that you're competing with, right?
All the time, right? You want that head-to-head competition, so you don't have to. There's 5 or 6 teams now that are comfortably in the playoffs, and they will as toward. And this is kind of the block. End of February, kind of the middle of March. Those teams know they're there, and the fight in their game's not quite as intense. Well, it's not nearly as intense as all of these other teams that are fighting day to day. So you want to go head-to-head, yeah.
Given the magnitude of each of these games, what is the biggest key in managing the pressure from a mental standpoint?
So from the mental side of it is truly enjoying it and not having it bring attention into your life that you're afraid to make a mistake, but it's got to be all excitement about making the right play, making the next play. The on-ice part is usually the team that plays the simplest game wins. It's not a end-to-end rush or some incredible one-off. It's an all-around, just the simplest game you play. The simpler you play this game, the faster you can play this game. And when you are playing fast, you skate, and that just bleeds into everything else. Your gap is better, your defensive closures are better, your stick is better. So simple as fast. That's the way we want to go.
Dalby and Denisenko got called up.
Yeah.
Was there any kind of cap gymnastics that had to happen to get them up there?
No, I don't think the cap was necessarily an issue. But there was consideration to who would have to go on waivers when we return players back down, not wanting to lose people. But there was no cap issue, I believe, on this.
With Giovanni Smith, the retroactive IR.
Yeah, he's long-term IR, so he had to. Yeah, so he's LTI'd now, IR'd, which means 10 games in 24 days based on the procedure he had yesterday. He's got a week of healing before he hits the ice, very probably, and another week or 2 after that before he becomes a competitive player again. And then we've got to get conditioning right. So the length of what he had to go through just put him out.
Is the procedure just cosmetic or anything more to it?
They had to fix something. I don't know.
No.
No, there hasn't been a concussion, but there are situations with this that you aren't diagnosed with a concussion, but you've had an injury, and it's just not at that threshold. But that's not the driver. The driver of it is he had a problem with his face that has to heal. They got it fixed a little bit. It's just a healing problem now.
With Bennett and Barkov out, is Lundy sliding back to center?
Correct. Yeah, that's the starting point.
Yeah, you have a lot of options.
We'll see.
You have a lot of guys who played center.
We do, and we have Reinhardt can also play his offside if we feel we need to get Anthony back to the right, so that would probably be the first adjustment I'd make, and then after that we'd consider moving Lundy back out to the wing, and then you'd have lots of speed on the wings and a real smart guy in the middle. So that line I'd like to keep intact because the Luosterainen with Verhaeghe and Tkachuk has been good, and the Stahl line has been really, really good with Cousins and Lomberg. So I'd like to find a solution with those 3 guys, even though they haven't played a shift together yet this year.
And just looking back at Buffalo, when we look at a guy like Tage Thompson, so young and he's already in the top 10 in scoring, how do you prepare for a guy like that?
You just consider him elite, right? We take the age label off it and say you won't play this guy any differently than any of the elite shooters. And I know it's cliche, but it's always true. Time and space, right? You cannot give these players more time with the puck. but it's true of the people that they play around. You have a really dynamic defenseman that gets up in the rush. Jeff Skinner's a very, very skilled player. So they have 3-4 guys that will hit the ice together, and they're all very creative, and they won't necessarily follow a standard script. They're not dumping a lot of pucks. They're going to make plays. They'll stretch. They'll leave the zone, and they can connect on those plays. So time and space for all players around them, just not limit the opportunity. Their numbers suggest that even if you do that, they're still going to get scores. We just have to limit it.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, guys.
Bob, tonight, Coach?